Welcome to the Landscaping Podcast. My name is Joel Barnett and I'm your host, and in today's episode I talk with Lily Sabo from Sabo Design. Lily's a landscape designer based in Melbourne, and I met her first when we did a job with her on the block a couple of years ago. So we talk a little bit about her experience there. We also talk about 3D design because I was curious to find out where she got hers done. Some people don't do it themselves, so I asked her about that. And we also talk about the benefits of working for other people prior to starting your own business and learning different ways to do things. So hopefully you enjoyed this episode with Lily Sabo. Lily, thanks for joining us on the Landscaping Podcast. So you're a designer. Oh, you're welcome. You're a designer in Melbourne. So how did you get into that way back when you started?
Many years ago, when I finished my degree at RMIT, I started working for a firm. And what would we do? We'd do streetscapes and parks and kind of like uninspiring sort of landscapes, really. Then I fell into a job with Out from the Blue. So that was working with Gary and the guys at Out from the Blue was my first, dip in the pool, I suppose, with landscape design. And I remember on my first day asking one of the guys there, so what's a coping tile? What is that? And he was like, oh God, you're such a green landscape designer. You're such a newbie. And that's where the kind of passion for, I suppose, getting to know people. I'm a bit of a people person, and I like going to people's houses and getting to know them as a family and how they operate, and really enhancing their lifestyle as that family unit. So that was my first kind of go at it, and then started around at a few different companies for maybe 5 years or so. And then at one point I was working for a pool builder down in the peninsula, and it got to the point where I had designed everything for him for the rest of the year. And this was in sort of April. And he said, there's not really much point you designing much more because I can't physically build them. You should just do it on your own, and I'll give you work, and I'm sure other pool builders will give you work. So I mulled over it for maybe half an hour, and that afternoon I registered an ABN and registered a business number and rang him and said, look what I did. Cool. And he's like, good on you. Now off you go and find some clients. Like, oh, what? How do I do that? Oh my God. So that's coming up to, I think it was April this year. It was about 4 years ago when I started my own design firm. And it's
all right. Seems like you've been going longer.
Is it just because I look older? Is that what you're saying?
No, just seems established. So how did you go straight out of school to RMIT to start landscape design?
I did. So I finished a 5-year degree of Bachelor of Architecture, landscape architecture, I should say, at RMIT. And in amongst that, I did a little stint in Denmark as well, where I studied at the Royal Danish Academy of Fine Arts. So I did a little stint studying architecture there, sort of in year 3, I think, and then came back and finished the degree.
Oh, cool. And how did you enjoy working at Out from the Blue? Because they're quite a high end.
Oh, loved it. Yeah, really high end. Loved working for them. Gary Kilworth is a fabulous mentor and boss, I suppose. He's really great. So it was a really good experience to kind of get my head around all facets of design, really. And because they have an in-house construction team as well, it was great to see pools come to life and move from a 2D drawing on a piece of paper to 3D. And like, so this is what it means when a concrete pool is, poured, and that's how they get the concrete to stand up the walls. Oh, that's interesting. That was a great stepping point into my career. And I spoke to Gary just the other day, so we still keep in touch, and we're still good buddies.
Yeah, cool.
See him at the Sparta show, and yeah.
So did you find when you were changing between different design companies that were they using the same design programs, or did you have to learn different ones, or was it by hand?
It was more or less I mean, I suppose everybody uses the base of AutoCAD. At Out from the Blue, we did use a 3D rendering program, which was great to get that experience as well. And then some of the other firms I worked for would send their 3Ds overseas, only because of how time consuming it is to get the 3D work happening. And then having to leave the computer on overnight so the whole design could render just isn't practical sometimes.
But other than that, they're all pretty similar programs, are they? They're all CAD based and.
Yeah, all CAD based and all, I guess, the same process minded as well, in terms of you start out with your sketch design, you develop that as a sketch, and then you take it into AutoCAD and generate it into 3D and add imagery and add all the notes and dimensions and depth and all the bits and pieces. Yeah, it's a fairly similar process and something that I've kept going until now, really. So the way I was taught day one at Out from the Blue is very similar to how I still work now.
And do you do much hand drawing?
I do, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Like finished? Like, do you ever send clients?
Not. Oh God, no, I'm not that good. No, it's more just for me to get my head around certain levels or wall heights, or sort of, if there's a particular point in the garden where I'm a bit stuck on, and I can see it in 3D and I can see it working, but I have to physically just sketch it out to get the heights and some levels happening. I'll definitely do a fairly detailed sketchy design before I sit in CAD and just work on it from there. Some of those hand sketching skills also came from Paul Bangay when I did a little bit of work for him. So when I started my business, I worked for him for the first year just to get some income coming through. And he's a fabulous hand sketcher. So I'd often just sort of peek my head over his shoulder and go, oh, that's how he's drawing that. Oh, that's interesting. So always learning and always kind of looking at what the big dogs are doing and how I can implement that in my business, in my design for my clients.
Yeah, it's interesting seeing that similar kind of, I don't know what the word is, but I was talking to Taylor Lukic in episode number 8. And he was talking about he worked a few different landscapers before he went out onto his own. And I think it sounds like it's a similar thing in design, where you can learn from different designers about the way they do things. So it's beneficial to work with different people. Is that how you found it?
Oh, absolutely. I don't think I'd be the designer I was without having some of those earlier other designers to sort of mentor off to learn from. Absolutely.
And so when you started off on your own, how did you go about getting work? Because it wasn't coming from the employer?
No, it was coming through a few funny methods. I would really try and find people, I suppose, on Instagram that I had followed for a while and liked their work, and would send them a little message and then send them another message, another annoying message, to the point where I think I just wore some people down and we eventually caught up for a coffee. So Ben Wilson from Garden Constructions in particular. So I know he and I I think we had a pizza very early on, and so he was an early kind of collaborator, I suppose, where he sent me some work. And then who else? There were a few other landscapers who, I just connected through really Instagram and got on board with them and started collaborating. And then I suppose once you start doing a few, all the rest just fall in line with, oh, you did my sister's garden and you did this and you did that. So it's funny seeing the lineage of where clients come from. I have one in particular, one at the moment, sorry. And so I designed a garden in Elwood. Then I ended up doing her sisters, their neighbours, their best friend, their best friend's boss. So it's all this kind of funny, it all started with Sally back in Elwood, and now we've sort of wound our way to this current client in Glen Iris through all these different channels. So I think I'm quite fortunate that the work sort of rolled over quite quickly. I didn't have a long spell without any work. It all sort of came to me quite quickly and just generated connections through there, I suppose.
Yeah, they're the best type of work as well, getting referrals. They know the type of work that you do and they're happy with it. And then, that's the best compliment you can have as well, is getting referrals from repeat clients, and then especially going 7 or 8
Yeah.
changes deep like that.
Yeah.
I heard you, when you mentioned Ben from Garden Construction before, you worked with him on the block as well. Is that right?
We did. That was working with Ben on the block was my first block experience, I suppose, many years ago. So that was the Elstonwick block back in 2017, 18, whenever it was. So yeah, Ben had a opportunity to build house number 5, I think it was. And so he rang me one morning and said, "Oh, do you want to do this little courtyardy backyard thing?" I went, "Yeah, you're not really selling it to me." He went, "Oh, it's for this TV show called The Block. Are you interested?" I went, yes, I am. Thank you very much." That was a lot of fun, having the first one kind of underway and under my belt. And then I guess that led on to the next series of The Block, which was actually the year after, where you and I met.
So were you a fan of the block beforehand, or did you watch it?
To be honest, no, I was not a fan of the block. I don't watch much, much TV. So when I got on the block the first time, I had to call a girlfriend and say, what do I? And she was so ecstatic and story. Like, okay, cool. So what else do I have to do? So she gave me some good tips on how to win the judges over, but I hadn't seen a second of it before. I knew the premise of the show, but never watched a single episode. So I had to do a bit of crash course YouTube watching the block on repeat.
How'd you go the first time?
Good. I think the rear garden we came third, and the front garden, I think also third from memory. So pretty good. Considering
And what was the experience like?
3 out of 5. Well, you know what it's like. It's just hectic. It's madness, absolute madness, and the amount of chops and changes, and doors become windows, and windows become doors again, and it was such a joy to work on, and such a fun, unique experience. But I think after the first one, I said, I'm never doing this again, and then here we are. I came back twice more, and I think after every one, I said, I'm never doing this again. I can't. And then a year rolls by, and you think, oh, it's pretty fun. Oh yeah, we'll to see my stuff on TV, and yeah, why not?
Do you find you get any extra inquiries out of it?
No. To be honest, no. Mm-mm. I mean, that's the tall and short of it. I mean, I think clients find it interesting. Like there's a lot of oohing and ahhing, and oh, that's so great, and we're so excited for you, and oh, we saw you on TV, and you get a few text messages, but it doesn't generate that much work from my end. And I guess it's all about how you publicize it and what you do with all the sexy, glossy images that you get from the block. But for me, it hasn't generated much work. In particular, last year, the opposite. In fact, last year I got quite a lot of hate mail after the block, and that kind of put me off. And I thought, this probably isn't really anymore.
And was that hate mail because that people didn't like the design? Was that what it was about?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of hate messages and mail to my personal and business Instagram and Facebook, and we hate your garden. We've been watching the block for 10 years, and yours is by far the worst. And my grandkids would crack their head open on those rocks, and what a stupid idea. And it was like, okay, well, thank you for this positive feedback. So what do you want me to do about it exactly? Like, this is the brief, this is the style of the house, and it won front garden. So I made the cover of the magazine. So thanks, bye.
Yeah, that's crazy how passionate people can get in their disgust at something. They're quite wild fans who, I suppose, being fans is short for fanatic, and that they do get quite fanatical.
They're passionate, and it's just how some people roll. But it was just interesting to see. It's interesting seeing all the messages come through and who they're coming from as well, which is just part and parcel of reality TV and fans and things like that. But I remember having a message from a 60-year-old grandmother, and I knew she was a 60-year-old grandmother because I kind of went into this little wormhole at 2 a.m. thinking, who are you? And why are you sending me these really nasty messages? And yeah, just a grandmother from Adelaide just telling me what she thought of the garden. And I thought, okay, oh well, that's fine. But yeah, it was just, last year in particular was quite a strange year for the block for many reasons. But yeah, I think that garden was very, very polarizing.
Yeah. And I should also, I'll mention that, so you won one of the gardens that year and also the year before in the courtyard garden. So your designs must be pretty decent there if the judges are impressed by them.
That's what I thought.
So did you find, I know you didn't get any inquiries or anything about it, but do you find any acknowledgement within the industry of being on there and getting those results?
I mean, yeah, there's always the personal messages that come through from other designers and landscapers and pool builders, and lots of pats on the back, and yeah, just lovely, kind, courteous messages, really. But you know, not that I've entered any of the gardens into awards or anything like that. But no, it is nice to get recognised, and for pats on the back is always nice, especially when you work by yourself, and it's often a very lonely world, my office, and it's being just working alone. It's nice to get some recognition.
And would you do that for the block again, or other type of designs on TV shows?
I wouldn't say no to them, but at the moment I'm very content and very busy. So for the moment, no. But yeah, I'm very open to things, really.
And where are all your leads coming from at the moment?
Really here, there, and everywhere. A few architects that I've been working with have passed on quite a number of really juicy, beautiful projects, and then everything else now is still referrals. Still, friends and family, really, of existing or previous clients.
Yeah, nice. And something I mentioned to you that I wanted to talk to you about was 3D design. So you mentioned you did that as part of your package, but you and a lot. I think it'd be surprising to a lot of people how many designers outsource their 3D designs. How'd you go about getting onto the people who do yours?
It was through a website, and it was sort of like an Airtasker for technology-based things, really. So you could find some build a website to do your SEO stuff. And I came across Vedana, who's in Serbia, through that particular website. And we had a few emails, and her background is Serbian and my parents are Croatian. So we had this kind of common link to one another. So we just started WhatsApping and texting, and she sort of got my style and idea, and that's how it started. So now she's done well over 40 3D renders for me, and it just makes my life so much easier. Not to say that, you know, my designs aren't worthy or strong without them, but certainly presenting plans to clients, and those clients who have trouble visualizing or really reading 2D plans, the 3D just brings it to life, literally brings it to life. And they get that really great impression of, oh, this is what the garden would look like. Wow, we're really excited by it. So for mine, it's such a beneficial part of design to have that presentation as part of the 3D presentation, as part of the package, and a real tool and a real asset.
Yeah, I've found that the quality of them is insane, and you can go too far with the quality sometimes, so they look, you can't tell if they're real or not. But they're also very helpful in the construction point of view, because you can look at the way it is, and if you're not exactly sure how something's supposed to look, the end result, the 3D certainly helps with that. So do you do it on all your designs?
Yes. So each new client, I'll develop 2 very different concepts, and both of those concepts are drawn up in 2D and in 3D, and then presented to the client. So
what sort of time frames do you take when you, let's say, when a client calls you up for the initial appointment to the final 3D render being sent?
Usually about a 3-week turnaround. So by the time I meet with them, develop the brief with them, and then from my end, developing the 2Ds, having it sent off. The 3Ds are usually about, I allow about a week for the 3Ds to come back. Yeah, usually about a 3-week turnaround. I find for clients at the minute.
How do you go getting budgets off clients for the landscaping project?
That can be tricky sometimes. I mean, there's some clients who just have no idea. We've never built a landscape. We've never done a front garden, back garden, pool. We've got no idea. Others have an idea, but it can get kind of muddled up with house renovations as well. And some are just not privy to telling you. They don't really want budget to determine or to deter away from the design. So some clients are very upfront and say, we just want you to design the best garden possible and we'll make it happen from our end. And others, yeah, have a very firm budget and we cannot spend over $1 here. So it's certainly beneficial to know all that information beforehand. It can get a bit tricky later on if you have designed something and then they fall off their chair or their budget isn't realistic. But there's always ways, as you would know, to pare back the landscape and use different materials or scale down in some way. But it can be hard when you're not given a budget and you're thinking, right, do you have 50,000 or 300,000? How much do you have? How much are you willing to part with?
Yeah, well, they'll say, oh, we're not sure how much you want to spend, and then you design it, get it quoted, and it's 70,000. They say, oh, we don't want to spend that much.
Yeah, that happens sometimes, but more often than not, people find money. Do you find this as well, that clients find money somehow?
Yeah.
That they're so conservative at the start, and then by the time the landscapers are there, it's like, oh yeah, we may as well just put the pergola in because you're here anyway. But we spent all this time revising the design to take the pergola out and just put it back in. No, it's fine. No, just put it in. Or the fencing. Oh yeah, no, we'll have some new fence running the whole perimeter of the property. No, really?
So you said before that you're just working by yourself at the moment. Do you have any plans to have any staff on in the future?
It would be nice. I think there's an internal battle within myself of learning to let go and learning to have someone come on board and join me. I've been by myself now for so long and I'm just used to working like a crazy lady and having no social life. And I guess I can't really see anything beyond that. And I think I need to get my head around the idea of hiring someone and what could my life look like with some extra time with another staff person here. So it would be a nice thing to do. I'm just not sure when, how, and all of that will come together. And
whether, and sort of the level of experience they got as well. Because the more experience they got, the more you got to pay them. And that's the.
Yeah. I'm fine with paying someone, what they would like or what they feel they deserve. But yeah, it's just finding the right person and the right fit for me.
And with COVID being a recent thing, how have you managed that being a designer? Because you can't. A lot of the times there's been lockdowns where you can't meet a person on site. So how have you gone about doing that?
Oh well, Zoom has been such a blessing in disguise. I mean, as much as I sometimes get sick of Zoom, it's so great to use again as a tool to get in touch with clients. So I've got current clients who I've never met yet physically, and I haven't seen their site, and I'm not sure if I will get the chance to see their site, but we'll have a Zoom through the backyard, or I've asked them to take short videos of them walking from, this is us walking down the side of the house, through the back gates, this is our back garden, and send me all those videos. So it's been fine. I feel quite guilty saying that lockdown and COVID has really been okay for me. Just because of how many other businesses are struggling, but that's the reality, that everything's been fine from my end. And I guess perhaps just a bit busier because everybody has had time to look at their crummy gardens and say, spa would have been nice this past year, or we're not going on holiday, let's put a pool in. So it's been a busy 12, 18 months since COVID really kicked in.
And are there any things that you had to do because of COVID, like the Zoom, that you'll continue doing even when you don't have to, that saves time?
I think so. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, Zooms have been very helpful, and I think I will continue that. Given sometimes, you know, how a site meeting, you can drive for 45 minutes to someone's house and you think, really, this is what we're talking about? This could have been done with a phone call or an email or a Zoom. So I will continue the Zooms, in particular for small changes and getting landscapers and the pool builder and the house builder all pulled into one, because it's sometimes hard to get schedules aligned with everyone. So yeah, Zoom's great.
And do you have any plans on changing the course of the business in the short term, or like not?
No, not really. Apart from possibly hiring someone. No, I think I'm up to my neck in work, and how I work is pretty fine for me at the minute. So no plans to change.
That's good. And what's your thoughts on the design industry at the moment, in terms of how the quality of it and whether people are earning enough in it?
Oh, we could always earn a bit more, surely. It's hard to say, because I'm such a hermit, I suppose, in my little world. I don't really pay all that much attention to what other people are doing. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I'm not sure, but I certainly see a lot of interesting and fabulous designs coming through from many Melbourne designers, but not that I really get bogged down in what other people are doing. I just sort of stay in my lane, really.
So where you're seeing the quality, is that like on Instagram? Do you follow a few designers on there?
Yeah, I follow quite a few designers on Instagram. Instagram, I suppose, is the main source of just getting that up to date, the latest projects that people are working on. And it's great to see. It's really interesting to see what people are doing, designers are doing with materiality and shapes, and even something as simple as pool fencing. You know, the leaps and bounds that pool fencing has come along over the past few years is great to see different materials and techniques being used. And sometimes I look at things and I go, oh, how did they build that? So I'll have to take a screenshot and zoom in on the Instagram. How has that been built? What's happening there? No, it's good to see. It's really great to see. Yeah.
And do you find that helps your design abilities as well, like picking up little bits and pieces along the way? Like, do you do a bit of any concrete in yours? Because that seems to be quite popular.
Yeah, concrete's like the sexy thing at the minute, isn't it? I mean, I'd be lying if I said I didn't look at other people's work and think, oh, I'll put that in the memory bank for later, and I quite like that little detail. But in terms of concrete, yeah, I am using a bit of concrete, mainly for curves, to be honest. If it's a curved feature, it lends itself to concrete beautifully. But I love brick. I'm just a standard red clinker brick kind of gal. I love using recycled reds. And for mine, I guess it's more about more planting and the different textures and tones that you can get from different leaf plants and different colours, and sort of mixing up the planting as much as possible.
And can you see any styles that are starting to come in that might take off?
The concrete rounds have been around for a while, but I think the concrete rounds in a terrazzo finish I've started to see, and I quite like the kitschiness and the 70s feel, I guess, of terrazzo and how that's coming back in vogue. Granite Works just released a new range of terrazzo pavers, maybe half a dozen or so colours, and there are some really sexy colours out there of terrazzo, so keen to start using some of those as well.
That is starting to come back in. A mate of mine, Concrete Republic, they do glass fibre reinforced concrete, and they've started doing some terrazzo as well. So yeah, that is a good pickup.
I guess it's like shoulder pads, right? Like shoulder pads were the thing in the 80s. let's hope shoulder pads don't come back, because no, we're not doing that. But terrazzo for sure. It's kitsch, it's funky. I really like it.
Yeah, I reckon it's right up your alley too in your style. It fits in well, because I saw you did the breeze blocks as well. So they're old school.
Yeah, and they're coming back as well. I've seen a lot more breeze blocks.
Yeah, I follow the company you did it for on the block, Cubic, I think they are.
Cubic
Yeah, they got some pretty cool
products.
designs on there. How do you go about? Do you have many designers? Sorry, not designers, but many suppliers reach out to you trying to push their product, or do you mostly go straight to them, or they come to you? Do they?
They come to me a lot. Yeah. So whether it's through Instagram or just an email, or annoyingly, I get a box of samples dumped on my doorstep. I think, oh, now I've got to find a place for all these bits of timber and samples. It's great to have, but it's it's annoying to have to house all these things. But certainly a lot of suppliers do come to me and try and push their wares, which is great. But then I've got my kind of little core of group of paving suppliers, timber suppliers that I know and love and have used time and time again. So I tend to go back to them and pick their brain about new products, or can you do this in this shape, or I really like this, but can we do it as a this cut? And they shake their head and go, oh God, you're killing me. Oh, really? Please, can you find this in this shape? And yeah.
I reckon it's definitely. It doesn't surprise me that you do get bombarded, because I think it's the right way to go for the suppliers. Because I know when I'm working off someone's design, if they say you need to get the page from this company, that's where I'll get them from. Especially if we've got the job from the designer. So whenever there's any suppliers asking me to use their stock, I'll say, well, we're just working off the designer, so you need to contact the designers and get them to specify it.
Yeah, you're doing as you're told.
Yeah, and do you kick up a stink if someone doesn't use something you've specified?
No, not at all. I mean, I understand that you will have a relationship with a lighting company that's slightly different to one that I use, and it's so fine. I'm pretty chilled out when it comes to all that stuff.
Well, Lily, can't thank you enough for your time. Can't thank you enough for your time today. Miserable day outside for me, so I'm happy to be inside, but I appreciate you taking time away from the ridiculous amount of work that you've got booked in to get done. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. Great chatting.